Hello guys, my name is Sunny. Welcome back to another video. And today I'm going to explain to you why the Ielts doesn't just test your English skills, but it also tests your knowledge about the world. Stick around to find out more. So, in the Ielts, if you have an adequate level of English, if you are able to form your sentences correctly, you have enough vocabulary, and your grammar is good, then you should be able to tackle it without any problem. Because you see, if you have a B1 or B2 in your English skills in terms of the CEFR scale, which stands for the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, you will most likely achieve a 6 or even a 6.5 without too much difficulty. Of course, given that you have enough practice, because as we mentioned in the previous video, which I'll link somewhere here, practice is one of the most important things in Ielts. But let's just say that you have good English skills and you have practiced enough, then achieving that mark won't be too much of a problem. But you see, things change dramatically once you aim for a 7, 7.5 or higher. Because at that point, you cannot just rely on your English skills alone. Because in order to achieve a much higher band, you will also need to rely on your own knowledge about the world. And the reason for this is because in order for you to achieve such high marks in Ielts, you need to display the ability to utilize a very broad range of vocabulary for a variety of topics, while at the same time still produce grammatically correct sentences that answers the question in a clear and concise way. Because if you give out an answer that is too general, too broad, that is not supported with details or information, then it is unlikely that the examiner will be impressed with your answer. This is particularly important for writing and speaking because unlike reading or listening, where you are expected to answer the questions based on a fixed set of information that is given to you, in order to do well in writing and speaking, you need to answer the questions based on your own experiences and your knowledge about the given topic. And as you guys already know, in those two skills, the topics that they'll ask you can be related to a number of different fields. It could be about economy, it could be about culture, it could be about environmental issues, it could be about anything. And so my question to you is, how are we going to do well in those type of questions if we don't already have some sort of knowledge or idea about how the world works? In my opinion, I think it's going to be terribly difficult to do any of those if we just rely on our English skills. Okay, so let's look at some examples to see what I'm trying to illustrate here, okay? If we look at writing part 1, we will see that all we need to do for that particular question is basically to summarize, point out key information, and compare wherever is relevant. And you need to do so based on a graph or a table or a chart that is presented to you. You don't need to say anything outside of that realm. You don't need to input your opinions. You don't need to conclude anything. You just need to explain and analyze what is there. But once you move on to the second part of the writing task, things get significantly harder because now you cannot just rely on your English skills or any set of information that is given to you, because everything that is given to you is only a short statement that indicates the topic that you would need to explore, as well as the questions. And more often than not, they'll ask you questions such as, why is this happening? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? What are some of the advantages or disadvantages? Do you agree or disagree? Now, for you to answer those questions, you need to have some sort of knowledge relating to that topic already. Because if you don't have some understanding of that topic, then how can you formulate the ideas in the first place? Without ideas, you cannot even begin to form sentences. And the consequence of that is you will produce a very, very shallow argument without any proper detailed information to support what you have said. Another thing is that without ideas about that particular topic, you will have a very, very limited range of vocabulary to which you'll be able to use to describe your own opinion or your own argument. And so you see, with the lack of knowledge comes a host of different problems relating to writing. Now let's look at some examples to see what I'm trying to demonstrate here, okay? Here I have a set of questions from writing part 2, taken from actual tests in previous years. And one of the questions was, more people decided to have children in their later age than in the past. Why? And do advantages of this outweigh disadvantages? Now, the topic in this question is about motherhood, the relationship between family members, changing socio-economical developments, and a host of other things. Now, in order to even answer the question why, you need to understand why this is happening in the first place, or even you need to be aware that this is actually happening across different regions, different countries around the world. But if you are someone who is not very knowledgeable with this sort of topics, if you are a high school student who is completely unaware of this topic, then how are you going to be able to answer it? The same thing can happen if the question is, for example, in recent years, the family structure has changed as well as family roles. What are the changes occurring? And do you think these changes are positive or negative? Same thing here. Now, the same story is true when you move on to the speaking part of the exam. Now, as you guys already know, in the speaking part, we have 3 sections. Section 1 and Section 2 are relatively easy because they only ask you about either short interview questions relating to familiar topics, or they ask you to describe about an object or an experience or a person that you know. But again, things change when you move to the 3rd section, because here the examiner will start to ask you about a number of questions outside of your realm of knowledge. For example, here I have a question from previous exams, and they ask you, is it important to have pleasant childhood memories, and why? So we can see that this question relates to the topic of child development. It can be somewhat tricky to answer that question clearly because you would need to have some background knowledge relating to this question. Now, of course, when you see this question, you can just say, yes, I think it's important because having good childhood memory is beneficial for your development and can lead to a healthier life and happier life. But okay, but why? Why exactly does that happen? That would be slightly harder to answer. Let me know how would you answer these questions in the comment section below, and then we'll have a discussion, okay? So what I'm trying to emphasize here is that with good English skills alone, you will only be able to do the test well, but only partially. In order to really excel in the Ielts and achieve higher marks, such as 7.0 or higher, you really need to develop your vocabulary in terms of a number of different subjects, because otherwise it would be very difficult for you to answer the difficult questions effectively. And so in the process of studying and practicing for the Ielts, please keep that in mind. Don't just focus too much on the test taking side, the skills themselves, but also incorporate slots of time within your day to learn new knowledge in English, so that you not only build your vocabulary, your understanding of that topic, but at the same time aid you in your IELTS exam. I think I'll make a separate video about the different things that you can implement in your daily life to enhance your English skills, but that's gonna be for another video. But for today, this is it. Let me know what you guys think of today's video, and I will catch you guys very soon. Thank you very much for watching, and bye-bye.